Well, I want to go back in time just a little bit. I'm just wondering, how long did it take you, between the time between you actually came up with the idea, like, hey, we should buy a sailboat, and when you actually did it? Was that years? Was that months? How did that look like?
This is probably laughable for anyone right now.
Yeah, we did it really fast, really really fast. I mean, we had this idea, and I'd say we from the time we like really started watching a few Delos episodes and like understanding this lifestyle to when we
Bought the boat.
bought the boat was 6 months. And in that 6 months, we completely changed our lives because, once we agreed to doing this, we set our budget. We were very, very keen on everything we spent, from then on, because now we had this budget and the savings that we needed to achieve. We also sold our house in that time. So we bought the boat and sold the house about the same month.
Yeah.
And it was just obviously in that time frame, there's a big change in our lives, but yeah, this was something we're really, really excited about doing. So it was easy to have those financial goals when you have this awesome like adventure ahead of you. So
This idea, yeah. And it's hard. I can't imagine just sitting on this idea for any longer. I feel that I'm more of the person I can't linger on an idea. I just have to start executing it. If I'm that passionate about that idea, like I just have to go.
Right. When the seed's been planted, you can't take it out. You have to move
No.
on and make it a reality. That's amazing. Congrats on doing that in 6 months. That's quite an achievement.
Thank you.
So you mentioned a few things that you did. So you had some savings, you sold your house, and you bought the boat sort of all in the same time. So it sounds like you had a pretty good sort of financial background to jump into it. So you didn't need to plan 5 or 10 years ahead to make it happen. What condition was the boat in when you got it? You mentioned, Amanda, that it was an old boat. Was it more of a fixer-upper, or could it sail right away, or how much work did it require?
She could have sailed right away. She had been cruising. She crossed the Atlantic. She made it to Panama, actually, with the previous owners even. But the upgrades that we wanted to do and what we thought cruising should have on our boat, we spent some time, fixing it up, doing some other upgrades and boat projects here or there. We also were going to, part of our financial plan was also to live aboard because we sold the house, and to live aboard would be a lot cheaper than a mortgage. So we had to put, in Florida, you have to put AC on a boat. So that was like one of the biggest things we had to do, although it's not in use now, but it is something we had to do while we were there, and it didn't have it. Ironically, we even took out the diesel air heater, and we just watched that footage recently. We were laughing about it. We took the diesel air heater out and the hot water heater, which we both installed recently.
Yeah, so we cruised Greenland without hot water, and then before we got to Greenland, we put a diesel heater back in. So yeah, that's been an adventure. But yeah, as far as buying the boat, it was I would say almost a ready to sail boat, but we chose to invest a little bit more money in some areas that we want to do. So like we did a lithium battery upgrade. We have all electric cooking. Yeah, we did solar panels, new dinghy, motor, like kind of, I guess, maybe usual things for new cruisers.
Yeah, of course. You have to customize the boat to your own liking, whether it's very minimalistic or whether it's meant for off-grid living or whatever you want. You're going to make it yours so that it works for your lifestyle. But it is quite funny that you you uninstalled the heater and then you head to Greenland. So
Yeah.
if only you'd known, eh?
I know. Just like we recently took off because we installed the solar arch. I don't know if you'd seen that. Like there's a massive solar arch with big glass panels on the back of our boat, which we didn't have davits to be able to hoist our dinghy. So now we experienced cruising around with this big solar arch in higher latitudes, which was not the thing to do with higher wind speeds. And it just didn't fit where we were cruising anymore. The production value of the sun goes a little bit down as well.
A little. It's a lot. This far north, the sun doesn't give you nearly as much solar as down in Florida. So yeah, we've made some changes over the winter here to kind of try some new stuff out on the boat.
Yeah, so I think the concept, especially new to cruising, You have to be a little flexible and know that, yeah, I might be putting this much investment into the boat right now, but it's going to change as maybe your plans might change or something happens along the way. Like you could buy a boat that's ready to go, but maybe it won't work in the environment that you cruise. Or maybe you find out you'll need more solar or a wind generator, or I started with lithium and now that's not what I want. That's not usually the thing, but you know, figure it out as you go. And then like changing to electric cooking, like some people, you know, might be like, oh no, I want that, and I have to take out my propane, you know. So you're just figuring it out as you go, really.
And obviously another thing that you've had to figure out is the actual sailing part of it. Like you said, you didn't have a lot of experience. You started off in Florida, perhaps with an idea of sailing the Caribbean before heading to the South Pacific, but obviously plans changed and you actually had to do an ocean crossing to Europe. So how long did it take you guys to be sort of comfortable with that idea that, okay, we're going to have to cross an ocean to keep sailing? Or were you already at that point when decision making was happening?
I think we're already at that point. Yeah, for our lack of sailing experience, another funny tidbit is this boat still to date is the only boat we've ever sailed, period. We've never even sailed a dinghy, like a little nothing. Laser. Yeah, we sailed nothing but this boat. And in fact, the first time we ever sailed was when we were on the sea trial for this boat. So we're on the sea trial with the broker and the captain and the surveyor, and they all hoist the sails, and we are just completely ignorant. And we're out there in southern Florida, and it's a beautiful day. It's blowing like 10 knots, just really nice conditions. And we go, looking around at the sails, thinking, oh yeah, we could do this. This is really nice.
Great sensation. I like sailing.
Yeah. So yeah, we truly went from zero sailing experience, and then YouTube University, and we went out every weekend that we could, learned as much as we could, and yeah, once we spent the first couple of months sailing through the Bahamas and down to Puerto Rico, we did gain a lot of that real world experience, and so when we were in Puerto Rico and decided to cross the Atlantic via the Viking route, as they say, up through Greenland. Yeah, I don't know, it's probably just more ignorance than anything, but we said, well, sure, why not?
That's what we have to do.
Other people do it, so.
I mean, we did do a trial run of a crossing. It was just to the Bahamas, but in that year that we were learning, we actually had friends that were willing to join people who didn't know how to sail and go to the Bahamas. And we did kind of a trial run of, do we like this lifestyle living aboard? I mean, we had a bunch of friends on, so it was more fun as well. And then like crossing the Gulf Stream, which is kind of a big deal to a lot of people as well. So we had a taste, and then we came back. We're like, is this what we want? Yeah, this is still what we want. So to take on for us a bit more every time, it seemed like we kept, the next passage was bigger. Like we sailed from Bahamas to Puerto Rico, and that was 5 days or 6 days. And then we took on a friend to sail with us from Puerto Rico to Bermuda to Maine. And so that like made a bigger passage. So it seemed like, okay, the next step is from like Newfoundland to Greenland. That's just another week. So it's kind of like the same, right?
Yeah.
So you just kind of, then it's going to be Greenland to Europe. And you're like, okay, it's like 11 days, maybe 10 days.
Yeah,
so like, that's fine.
Everything just became in terms of a week. Like, oh, it's just another week passage. And like, we got that. And you just knock out the miles, and before you know it, you're there. So.
Yeah, of course. You learn as you do, baby steps until they become bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually it turns into an ocean crossing, because why not?
That's right. I mean, I think an ocean crossing it's just like a day sail, except you just keep sailing.
Yeah.
You just sail.
Just do it a few times.
That's right.
I think for some people, like losing sight of land freaks them out and everything, but I've never had that feeling. First time I was waiting for that to happen. Like, am I going to be freaked out by this horizon going away? And no, I enjoyed just water around me. Like the idea is kind of scary when you start talking about how many feet is under you, and you're just like, oh my God, there's nothing under me.
Right.